Hey everybody, what is going on? It's your girl Dana Patrice, aka the Black Fairy, and I am here with another impromptu live video. Actually, give me one moment. One moment, y'all. Sorry about that. My daughter came home from lunch, but I did want to talk about this video. So today I want to talk about a conversation I had recently in my comments. I at first thought this commenter was a man because the misogyny was just seeping out. It was actually in my yesterday's live impromptu live that I did on, men. I don't give a F what y'all think. But it turns out she came forward as a woman. Okay. And I honestly think this distinction does matter. Does matter. Because sometimes, y'all, the most harm doesn't come from open misogyny. It comes from internalized misogyny that is dressed up as fairness, neutrality, and quote unquote being reasonable. Okay. So, as you know, I posted videos in my shorts, right, discussing misogyny versus misandry and why they are not equal in harm. A commenter responded, and I don't want to paraphrase. I was going to paraphrase, but I'm going to still pull it up. We went through it yesterday, but since then there's been more context added. This is where she came out as a woman to me and said, "Oh, I'm a woman saying these things." So we're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna share my screen. Share screen. Share. Am I sharing? It's pulling up a little slow on my end. Hold on, y'all. And thank you to those who. Well, I saw one person was in here, but they're gone. I understand it's like middle of the day. But I have class and I need to get this kind of over with. So I'm going to play the video and then we're going to go through her comments. And I'm going to address the problematic misogyny of it all that a lot of women internalize. Okay? Okay, so let's start with consequences because that's where the differences really show up. Misogyny leads to violence, SA, domestic abuse, femicide, reproductive control, and women not being believed. Misandry doesn't control laws. It doesn't strip men of rights. It does not create a class of people who are vulnerable by default. Women are afraid men will unalive them. Men are afraid women won't choose them. And my dear friends, those are not the same. Not the same harm at all. You see, when it comes to this, impact matters more than intent. So that was the video, y'all. Misogyny and misandry are not the same, part 2. So Comment Sassy over here says, misogyny is men taking rights from women. Misandry is women giving more rights to women and ignoring men. Now, I would like to say, like, even yesterday, I was like, okay, whatever, like that part. But misandry has no control to give women anything. What we do is definitely ignore men. You usually have a strong disdain for men, right? So she continues on and say, both, in capital letters, real strong here, are unjust. As men and women, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. There are bad men. There are bad women. Let's not, all capital letters, forget that. Now, at this point, I'm thinking I'm talking to a man because anybody could clearly see that that's just a misogynistic trope. The idea that misandry has any power to change anything, positive or negative, in a patriarchal construct is just asinine, right? So I said, calm it sassy, both aren't unjust. Misandry is a reaction. If males exerting their power over women in an attempt to control them through violence in order to make them submit, it is natural that women would then in turn not only dislike them, but remove them from their lives, as anyone being abused would do. So take your misogynistic, condescending BS elsewhere. Women aren't harming men in large statistical rates. Get the F out of here. Women don't owe males a goddamn thing, not our bodies nor our labor, especially in a system that does not acknowledge or provide the safety to do so. We did kind of go through this yesterday, but I just want to be fair. So you may not have seen yesterday's video, so I just want to make sure I'm going through it so you have the full scope. So she came back and was like, hold on a second. Sorry, 1 second. Oops. And was like, wow, I was simply just adding a point of view. No reason to personally attack me. I am terribly sorry if you have ever been victimized by men, but it is absolutely no reason ever to stoop to their level. Now, this pissed me off because, first of all, nowhere in this video nor in my response did I say that I have been victimized by men. But let's be clear. I'm 41 years old. Of course I have been. No woman reaches my age without having some sort of, I don't know any woman my age that hasn't had terrible interactions with men and have been victims of men to at least in certain degrees. I'm not saying every woman gets sexually assaulted. I'm not saying any of that at all. What I am saying is that usually in the workplace, home, lived life, family experiences, they've experienced the downside, which is like the misogyny, right? So, as far as her stooping to their level, misandry, again, just as I stated in this video that she's responding to, is not the same as misogyny. Specifically in this video, I gave why it was so different. And for her to ignore all that, which tells me she likely did not even listen to the video, I'm just bewildered at how she came to that conclusion, right? So she continues on to say, as a society, we have made incredible efforts to acknowledge men and women as the same in law. Yes, there may still be some men in the world that are misogynistic, but if you cannot see the nuance in this, I'm sorry, it's not worth talking to you about. Not every man is inherently evil, and not every woman has been victimized by a man. There will always be good men, and there will always be terrible women. Notice how she says always in big caps. Again, the lack of nuance is insane. She's the one with the lack of nuance. She's the one who thinks that because, let's be clear. The fact that women had to fight men in order to even get a simulation of equality, right? And not to say that has stopped the misogyny. Women still get paid less for the same jobs. They still, didn't men in America, especially because she's going to bring up how America is different than other countries and continents. But even when you look at that, didn't America just roll back Roe versus Wade? Didn't they just roll back women's rights to their bodily autonomy? And if it's some men, then why is the patriarchal system still working this way? Her ignorance is exactly why we can't trust all women. I know that lately I've been focused on Christian women, which I wouldn't be surprised if she was one with this type of dialogue. Usually women of the Abrahamic faith cling to the misogynistic patriarchal constructs because they've been indoctrinated to accept it. They've been indoctrinated to believe that they are less than, that they can't lead, and all these other bullshits. And that's exactly what she's giving. So I said, and this is me still thinking that she's a man. So I said, you don't get to come to a woman's space and tell us what to do and how to react to the abuse all women experience in their lives. I have yet to meet a woman who hasn't been affected by the system. It's not the same from women, the statistics that, but it's not the same from women. The statistics show that. I don't care that you don't like that fact. I don't want your opinion or perspective that deters or misplaces the issues and further perpetuates the lie that women are doing it too. This channel is women-centered and women-focused. Only allies are welcome here. You are not one. You do not know what you're talking about. Misandry is not the same as misogyny and doesn't affect society the same way. We don't have the systematic power. You're like a racist trying to tell me as a Black woman that I'm not experiencing racism on a systematic level. Although you probably do think that, huh? Anyway, I will not be going back and forth about that. I don't care that you don't like it. I 100% don't owe you respect when you come over here trying to minimize women's experiences that is, again, backed by stats and data. You do not get to do that. I will cuss you out and trust that I very much haven't gone as low as I could go. She comes back and goes, okay, Jeezer. First, I think of all, I am a woman coming from a woman's perspective. I have been hurt by some men and women, and I don't pin it on anything except evil people. I don't respect the fact that you immediately assume I'm a man and attack me when I'm simply trying to open up a discussion. An opposite point of view will not kill you, you know. I retorted with, good for you, ma'am. My facts and data are based on the collective, not personal experiences. So how about you don't dismiss the facts based on your personal journey? Not every woman is an ally. She came back with, wow, I was simply adding a point of view. No reason to personally attack me. I am terribly sorry if you've ever been victimized by men, but it's absolutely we read that already, right? We read this, I think sometimes it goes twice. Yeah, okay, Jeezer, that's there twice. Good for you, ma'am. She continued on in another conversation, secondary to this as well, where she said some other problematic things, right? So one of a new subscriber that I've been having some beautiful dialogue in the comments with also came about, hey, true reality. Is that what it is? Reality? I think so. How are you? Thank you for joining me. I honestly don't go live that often, but this is one of those things where I just wanted to get off my chest. Like, I didn't want to do a whole edit video type vibe. I was just like, let me just shoot it out, get it out, right? So thank you for joining me. It was very, impromptu, but I appreciate you being here, watching, and listening here with me.
You have a program coming.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's go to the comments. Missed my place. Let's go back. So this commenter said, she tried to go with it. Again, this is when we were thinking this person was a man. She's tried to, do some correctiveness, try to give a different perspective. And she said to comment sassy, the problem is to think that they have the same weight. We are living in a system that hates femininity. You did good for a woman. You throw like a girl. Don't be a pussy. All that is internalized. The hate of men is a structural problem. The hate of women is an individual problem. Right? And I think she actually meant it the other way around. The hate of women is a structural problem and the hate of men is an individual problem. At least that's what I think. I don't want to speak for her. So she goes, I get what you're saying. And my main point is both are inherently bad. Misandry is not somehow better than misogyny, which is how this woman made it sound. Not at all. I was not trying to make one better than the other. I was simply stating the differences and how it is different. Okay, you don't get to tell women like who they, anyways, I'm just gonna continue, right? If you could further explain what you mean by the hate of men is structural problem, the hate of women is an individual problem, because I'm understanding you right. I disagree. I would say rather the hate of women, it has been the standard through the years, is more industrialized and structural, whereas the hatred of men has only really become super big in the last few years. And I see that much more on a personal level. Now, actually, the hate of men has actually always been there. Right? That's why we were fighting for feminism and have been fighting back. Like, I actually would like to actually start a series where women have fought back, even back in the day. Like, when men want to go back to a time where women were like actively responding in different ways. There's this woman that I read about. She actually helped women unalive their husbands, murder them. She would provide them poison to put in their food because they were beating them and things like that. Like, women have always been finding ways to fight back. It's just we don't hear those stories because men don't want us getting those ideas. But there's plenty of them. So I told the young lady that was speaking with her, as I thought this was a man, please do not labor for the please do not do the labor of having to educate this man. Everything you stated was stated in my video is easily backed by data and statistics for all to find. He's about to be removed for commenting anyways. He can leave on his own or I'll boot him out. She came back to me. She came back to her first saying, I'm not saying one is better or worse. I'm saying they have different weights. So confronting them falsifies the impact. Take these two sentences. A woman from Iran or Afghanistan tells you she hates men. A man from Iran and Afghanistan tells you he hates women. Do they feel the same? Then she responded to me and she's like, yes, that's what I thought. I just like to discuss most times because I learn from the discussion. But this is your channel, so I bow to your rules. But I have a question. Was it because he was an idiot? Okay. Or you don't want to have any discussion at all? Right. So I said to her, it's because he's an idiot. Because again, I still think that this is a man at this point. Nothing he said is rooted in any facts. And if he genuinely wanted to learn, he would go and research, not sit here and make you teach him. We dissenter men over here. I honestly think this is the only way they can get a woman to interact with them. Like, sir, misandry is only hurting men's feelings. And if you men don't like it, look within. Instead of policing our reaction, minimizing our experiences, and equating your butthurt feelings about women not wanting anything to do with you to harm the system to harm this system does to us. Then she came back with, I'm a woman, thank you. Right. And then she responded to Nina saying, okay, I get your point. I didn't totally understand. I agree. It doesn't feel the same. But at the same time, there is a big difference between the cultures of Iran, Afghanistan, and America. I was speaking merely from a first world point of view. I understand that's how it's been in the past and how it still is today, but that does not mean all men are bad. I get you probably don't think that, but this video seems to be speaking in more absolutes, whereas I like to see the nuance in things, right? So I responded to her and I said, facts and data are speaking in absolutes? That's what's pissing me off. You're dismissing truth to make space for what? Men's feelings? I don't do that here. Tell me where I lied. Show me the data you have that dismisses what I'm saying. I'd love to review it. I'm not above being corrected, but I don't speak from my personal experience, which you've made assumptions about, but the collective global experience. You dismiss that to what? Protect men? How does being dismissive of that and putting men's feelings above the very real truth women are facing today? I'd really like to know what facts you have to back up your claims that misandry is somehow causing harm to men other than hurting their feelings. You literally told me that women are doing the same thing to men, which is an absolute lie. I then retracted to Nina because, again, she says I'm a woman. So I told Nina, if you would like to speak to her, you can. She says she's a woman. For me, that makes her comments worse, but internalized misogyny and male-centered women also come with this territory. I won't block her, but I'm extremely annoyed with her. But discussions with other women is something I won't stop here, right? And then I also asked Nina, Also, just to say, because I'm like, also because I value your opinion and I've been enjoying our dialogue, can you point out where in this video I correlate misandry as better than misogyny? I mean, I was clearly talking about the consequences of all this. And I definitely didn't say one was better than the other in any part of this mini 3-part on misandry versus misogyny. It's not about that at all. So I'm trying to see how her very bold and accurate statements gave her this conclusion. None of these videos are about either one being better than. I'm genuinely asking. Now, she came back and spoke to Nina and said, I get what you're saying. And my main point is that both are inherently bad. Misandry is not somehow better than misogyny, which is how this woman made it sound. Oh, this is again another, I hate that TikTok, I mean, not TikTok, YouTube does that, right? Because it's repeating comments. You know, Nina came back and told me, you know, I thought, yeah, see, this is all repeated stuff. Yeah, this is all repeated stuff. Let me just make sure, because I want you guys to have the full picture of the conversation that was being had. So Nina did come back and said, you know, first of all, thank you. You didn't say anything of that. She's opposed because you express a radical point of view, not a false one. I'm glad you made this channel. I fight beside you. Burn the fucking patriarchy. Burn it down. So that was the actual back and forth. You know what I'm saying? That was the original back and forth that led me to making this video and wanting to have this discussion. True Reality says, I'm good. Thank you so much. Hope you're well. I am well. Thank you. So let me get back to what this comes down to for me, right? So when she said, you know, misogyny is men taking rights away from women, misandry is women giving more rights to women and ignoring men, both are unjust. You know, I talked about it, right? I assumed this was a man because the framing was very common amongst men, especially when it comes to my channel, when they come to my comment section, trying to bully me into changing my thought process, changing my feelings, also trying to skew data in their favor, misrepresenting the data and statistics that I provide, et cetera, et cetera. So my initial response was sharp, direct. I don't cushion, you know what I mean? Later, when she clarified she was a woman, and once I realized that, my response kind of shifted to confrontational to more so corrective, because now we're not just talking about a disagreement. We're talking about how women we're talking about how women can unknowingly uphold the same systems that harm us. That's when the tone of the conversation changed to me. You know, that's when she responded with, you know, I'm sorry your experiences with men had led you to feel this way. And that's where my real issue really revealed itself with this woman and women like her, right? So why is her response so problematic to me? Why are these responses so problematic? I want to break this down. So number one, turning structural analysis into personal trauma, right? When someone says, I'm sorry your experience has made you feel that way, they're not engaging with the actual argument. They're pathological, blah, blah, blah. I can't speak today. Pathological, right? And this reframes a systematic critique as an emotional wound, right? It shifts the focus from facts and power structures to my supposed inability to be objective. Y'all, this is not empathy. That is dismissal with a softer voice, right? Second thing, this whole both sides language, it erases power. Misogyny is not just about feelings. It's not about individual bad actors, okay? Misogyny is codified into our laws. It's reinforced through religions, right? It's backed by violence. And it is 100% normalized socially. It has removed women's rights, our autonomy, our safety, and bodily control across history and across cultures. Misandry does not operate this way, y'all. okay? And I'm not telling you you should be a misandrist. I'm saying that I am one at this point in my life. But I'm not saying that you have to be, right? But let's be real. I'm going to say it again. Misandry does not operate this way. There are no systems where women collectively control men's bodies, legislate men's reproduction, own men as property, or even enforce submission through mass violence. Saying both are unjust without acknowledging power is not fairness. It is a false equivalence. Oppression is not about who feels disliked. It's about who has the power to enforce harm. Number 3, why is it especially dangerous when women do this? This is the part here that matters most. When women frame misogyny and misandry as equally harmful, they, 1, undermine women's lived realities. 2, provide cover for male violence. 3, shift accountability away from systems and onto women's tone. And last but not least, it reinforces the idea that women must stay calm to be credible. This is how patriarchy survives, not just through men, but through women who've been rewarded for aligning with it. And no, that doesn't make them, these women, necessarily evil, but it does make the behavior harmful. So another thing that kind of underlined this lady's tone is I felt like an undercurrent of the whole angry Black woman trope, right? And I don't want to ignore it. Because when Black women express their anger in response to injustice, it's often reframed as bitterness, trauma, irrationality, personal damage, instead of being recognized simply for what it is, which is clarity. So when I'm told, I'm sorry your experience has made you feel this way, what it's really being communicated as is your anger is the problem, not the system you're criticizing. That trope exists to silence us, and it works best when it comes from other women. Let's be honest, right? So now I'll be honest here. My first response was very reactive. I am human. I don't know about y'all. I don't even know if you believe in astrology. But my big 3, I'm an Aries sun, a Taurus moon, and a Gemini rising, y'all. I don't have much patience. Okay? Ignorance does grind my gears, especially when it's dressed up as moral superiority. But here's the distinction I want to be very, very clear about over here on this channel. Anger in response to injustice is not the same as being wrong. Passion does not invalidate truth. The goal isn't to erase anger, it's to direct it, right? So if you are a woman who is watching this and you find yourself saying things like, both sides are just as bad, it's not all men, we need to be fair to everyone. I'm not here to shame you, but honestly, I kind of feel like, you know what? I take that back. Shame on you. Shame on you. Okay? But what I really want is for you to pause and ask yourself this. Who does this framing protect? Who does it silence? And who benefits when women are taught to soften their truth? Because neutrality in an unequal system doesn't stop harm at all. It actually preserves it, right? So I am going to close by saying this. I didn't want this video to be too long, right? But women's anger has always been treated like something dangerous, right? And I get it. If we actually allow ourselves to get mad, could you imagine what we could do? that's why it's seen as something that needs to be calmed, corrected, or explained away. But sometimes anger isn't a fire to extinguish, it's a signal, right? And ignoring that signal, especially when it comes from other women, is how we keep repeating the same cycles. So I will end it there. I do think that pick-me's are a huge problem. Like, I know I say I'm for women empowerment, but I am not for all women. I'm not for the women who are harmful to us, that are keeping us in chains, metaphorically or not, right? We see men actively pushing to put us back to where they think we belong. And I mean, I said it before, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's a woman of Abrahamic religious faith, because those women tend to lean in on the patriarchal bullshit, right? Like that indoctrination has them thinking. And I get it. I used to be indoctrinated into Christianity myself, right? It's why I do speak on it often, because I realize the ties that my religious beliefs have given me to this patriarchal structure in the most negative of ways. I was always kind of like a rebellious spirit with radical ideas. Even then, learning more about Christianity has only further emboldened those things. And I will continue to keep my foot on their neck. Okay. With that, I am going to end the stream. I want to thank you to those. I want to say thanks to those who join this live. I will be doing lives more often. I will prepare, give you more notice and more preparation for those lives. I said it before, I want to find a day where I can actually, I have so many videos that I want to do blind reactions to, where we go through all of these kind of like these tropes and we can really, really dive in. So if you haven't already, please like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. I'm back, I'm ready, and I'm loaded, okay? I have also a lot of edited videos that are going to be coming out as well in the next week. I'm coming towards my finals for this last quad since I am back in school. And yeah. It's just been busy, but I have not forgotten about this channel. It's super important to me. I love it here. I love these discussions. I love meeting women who are like-minded, even if it's virtually on the net. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much for stopping by.